Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi, flying solo out of the gate. Just want to let you guys know Fruit Loop made it through surgery just fine. She has been resting all day. And, I think if I were to tell her about the day that we've all had, she would probably think she is in a post op drug induced dream. It's been a crazy day, y'all. Anyways, I know that when she is back in the land of the awake, she will love to read all of your good wishes that y'all have sent her. And yeah, so just really glad that's over for her. Now let's just get better and I can get my buddy back. It's weird doing it alone. I like bouncing things off her. We're a unit, but we do what we got to do. Lord, y'all. Lori's arraignment. Before we get started, I have to give a big, big, big thank you to one of our OGs, somebody that's been with us from the very beginning, Steven, for the PayPal donation. Thank you so much, Steven. It's very much appreciated, and we appreciate you. Also, want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Too Cool T-Shirt Quilts. You can go to twocooltshirtquilts.com/pretty lies and alibis. They will know we sent you and they can take your t-shirts and make them into a quilt that is too cool. If you can see behind me, it's a little high, but you can see a couple of the pillows, not just quilts, pillows, all kinds of stuff. Go check Andrea out. We appreciate her support. Okay, so Barry Morphew, DA dismisses the case against him. I'm going to try my best to get in another episode tonight. Got a lot of stuff in the Cassie Carly case to cover tomorrow on a new episode. But for now, this takes the cake. This has been a year in the making, 2 years really since she's been in a courtroom. And what was the biggest thing to me today? She did not waive her right to a speedy trial, which is kind of odd. At first, we thought the date was for her trial was going to be October 19th, which ironically is 3 years to the day that Tammy Daybell was murdered. And going back and actually watching the entire hearing in one piece and not having to fumble through tweets, what I think I understood is that that is the deadline and not the date. It seems like Judge Boyce is looking for sometime in the middle of October. We're going to get to all that later, but let's just do a little review. As you know, last year she was present for the arraignment on camera, but was in the process of being deemed incompetent. So that was not even an appearance. So, what was she arraigned on today? All right, let's go through it. Count one for Tylee, conspiracy to commit first degree murder and grand theft by deception, which is a felony. Count two for Tylee, first degree murder. Count three for Lil JJ, conspiracy to commit first degree murder and grand theft by deception. Count four for JJ, first degree murder. Count five, Tammy Daybell, conspiracy to commit first degree murder. Count seven, or no, I'm sorry, count six. Y'all, it's been a day. Grand theft. So Lindsay Blake and Tanya Rawlings were there for the state, and Lori, her two new attorneys, were there. Jim Archibald and her newest addition, John Thomas, who were there to represent Lori. I have to say, Jim Archibald seems like a good guy. I know Larry said that when he got there, he said hello to the defense attorneys. Just stand up, people, y'all. If you don't need any more proof that Kay and Larry and Kresha are good people, this man went and said hello to the defense attorneys who are defending the woman who took his grandson's life. Just saying, that really spoke volumes to me. So Kay and Larry were there. Our girl Kresha was there. And also Joe Ryan's sister and Tylee's aunt, Annie Cushing, was there. She looks really good, by the way. I just want to say, I haven't seen her in a while, but she looked really pretty. Lori did not enter a plea. So Judge Boyce entered a not guilty plea for her. When Judge Boyce asked Jim Archibald what Lori wanted to be referred to, he said Mrs. Daybell. It's kind of up in the air. It's like, I don't know what to call her anymore. So yeah, she's Mrs. Daybell, I guess. Nate said around 40 people, Nate Eaton from East Idaho News, they had the rights to record this today. And we're putting that hearing up on our YouTube, by the way, right now. He said around 40 people were inside for the hearing. Not many people were outside. There was a lot of media in there, and none of Lori's family was in attendance. So I went back and watched this hearing really closely, rewound parts, had it enlarged on my screen. I'd zoom in with my mouse. We saw the smirk. We saw a couple of the smirks. I will say her walk into court this time was not quite as sure as she was the first time we saw her after she was brought back from Hawaii. She just kind of strolled in, head down a little bit. She gulped a lot. I will say I watched for these little nonverbal signs just to try to figure out, um, does she understand what she did? I don't know. Is she gulping and breathing a little rapidly, which she was, if you go back and watch her chest, it is rising and falling a little more than when you're at rest. Um, I would like to know if in the way back of her mind and her deepest, darkest thoughts, does she feel bad for what she's done? I don't know. But man, what a heavy hearing though. Even though we've waited for this, to hear those names called out brings it all back home of why we're here. So when Judge Boyce asked who was there on behalf of the state, Lindsay Blake said she was. Now, I noticed when Lindsay Blake said she was, Lori kind of leaned back behind Archibald and looked over at her briefly. The judge asked Lori if she remembers getting a notification of rights that she was given and signed and initialed at the arraignment that did not happen in May of last year. And she spoke super low. You almost couldn't hear her. And she said, "Yes, I do." And so he goes through all of her rights to an attorney, right to a speedy trial. Lori answered appropriately, super low voice. And Judge Boyce starts to read the charges, and Archibald interrupts and said they waived the reading of the charges and that a summary is acceptable. Now, I don't want you guys to like skewer me for this, but I think when they read the charges for Tylee, Lori looked down and she kind of hesitated. He says the possible penalties are death or life. When asked if she understands the charge and the possible penalty, she hesitated for a second and said yes. Now, if we know Lori, it was probably more of a pause because the consequences are huge for her. It could be her actual life or her life behind bars, either one. Just, I guess even as much as we dislike her, you would hope that she does feel bad for what she's done and all the lives she's taken. There's so many, so much hurt. He said, "You have the right to remain silent, and the court will enter a not guilty plea for you." Archibald spoke up and said she intends to remain silent. So Boyce goes through their counts and enters not guilty for each one of those. He also mentions, as we know, the companion case is set for trial on January 9th of next year. So, because she has waived her right to a speedy trial, it would go over the 6 months for the January trial of next year. He asks if Archibald has spoken to her about her right to a speedy trial. Archibald said he has. She does not intend to waive her rights to a speedy trial. That was just a big shocker for me. Maybe it's strategic. It is a lot in 6 months to try and move this entire trial to Ada County, which early also they do not object to the change of venue. So they want it there. You have to wonder if not waiving the right to a speedy trial, in her mind, is it going to put a rush on things? I mean, because honestly, we don't know all the evidence they have against her. I would imagine it is going to rock our world when we really do see the depths of evil these people reached in all of this. So it's kind of hard. Is that kind of your one shot to maybe have something go in your favor is to rush such a huge trial, 10 weeks. Let's see. It was, hang on just a second. It was 104 witnesses are set to be called at these trials. That's a lot. So you're going to have to schedule within the courts, Judge Boyce, 10 weeks, the prosecutors, 10 weeks, some witnesses, 10 weeks. It's going to be a rush. So I'm just curious. So Archibald says the law says she should have a trial within 6 months. That would be October 19th. Ironically, 3 years to the day Tammy Daybell was murdered. Boyce says with that in mind and the fact that a joint trial date has already been set, he would need to consult with counsel about dates. He asked Lindsay Blake about the duration of 10 weeks that are already set aside. And essentially, they're going to need the same thing for Lori, another 10-week trial. Boyd says mid October for trial. Blake said they would need to obviously look at their calendar, and the court order is that right now they be tried together, and a severance was recently denied. So the state will provide a briefing to the court to see if they'll provide a briefing to the court if there needs to be a separate trial for the two of them. Boyd said that he would take that under advisement, but obviously this has got to be quick. They got to get this date in. A lot of preparation for that. Judge Boyce said the presumption is that this would be a single trial with both defendants, and he wants to get the schedule set this week. Blake said the state's belief right now is that this is to be one trial. Judge Boyce also said they're going to need input from Pryor, which is Chad's attorney. Now, here's the thing. We've heard two things from Pryor. Number one, he wants the severance. This could be the way he gets it. However, he's also said that Chad has been in jail a very long time and he wasn't super happy with the January date. So we'll see if his puts his money where his mouth is, because he can get that trial done in 6 months. And then maybe by November, we know what's up and never have to hear their names again. They will get a scheduling order out as soon as possible. And Lindsay Blake said the state has filed a motion for a joint status conference for both Chad and Lori. And she said it may be they're having one anyway about setting trial dates. And Boyce said that he will reach out to counsel about setting up this joint status conference. So after that was kind of it. I mean, really, these are always kind of super quick. It was longer because she's got a mountain of charges. But so after the trial, Chad and Lori, they didn't see each other. Chad was already gone. I need to tweet out a picture and put on Facebook. There is a picture somebody got of him coming out in his white shirt with a bulletproof vest on, and he's handcuffed. It's a beautiful sight to see. He was already back in the jail by the time Lori was brought in. So Andrea from East Idaho News was outside during the hearing. And so Nate was talking to her before they were waiting on Kay and Larry and Kresha to come out for a press conference. So when Chad came out, she asked if he still loved Lori and if he had anything to say, and he didn't respond. After the hearing, Lori was brought out the same way. She said it was much more rushed getting her out of that courthouse. She asked her the same thing. She didn't even turn around and acknowledge. So after the hearing, Kay, Larry, and Kresha were out in front of the courthouse and they spoke to the media. Larry's such a sweetheart. Bless it, bless it. He thanked the media and also people all over the world for their support. And, he broke down out there in front of the courthouse saying that it was very sad to hear JJ's name read out in court. He says that they are very happy at the stage they're at now and that it's moving forward with respect for these victims. And again, like I said, he introduced himself to both defense attorneys. He said, I always try to say hello to everyone. And he said they're close to a conclusion of 3 hard years, and he knows that ultimately justice will be served. He said, really, at the end of the day, this is all about 2 innocent kids. And he asked for everybody to keep their family in thoughts and prayers. He said it was wonderful to hear JJ and Tylee's name spoken in court, but at the same time, it was heartbreaking. And he said it shouldn't be like this. This was senseless. Nobody deserves this. None of these deaths were deserved. And it was ultimately for greed and lust. And I mean, what else can you say? That's exactly right. When they asked what it was like to see Lori in court, Kay began to cry. And man, this was so real. Kay said she loved and trusted Lori. And Kay just buried her head into Larry's chest and sobbed. And she said, I trusted her with a life. And I'm sure that this, we get so caught up in what she's wearing and our roots are done. But ultimately, this is the end result of all this, is just this gaping hole in these people's hearts that will never be filled. And a lot of questions that'll never be answered. So Larry said Lori knew all she had to do was call them. And of course they would have taken JJ. They love that boy. Excuse me. Kay said about the trial date being the anniversary of Tammy's murder, which we know now is just that deadline. It shows her that God's hand is in this. Larry said this is a circle that has run in 9-month increments. And I'm not sure of the exact things, but it's been 9 months this, 9 months that. He said he prays for the day that they can end this circle. And then he said, hopefully JJ, Tylee, Charles, and Tammy finally have some peace. A lot of innocent people lost their lives over nothing. Excuse me, guys. He said he's overjoyed that there's movement in the case and a trial date is looking to be set soon. Larry talked about their family and how they don't know what they would do without them. And the people of Rexburg have become family to them. And he said it's like coming home when they come up for court hearings. And he said, "You have no idea how much I miss JJ, but it's a happy time now." He thanked Judge Boyce, he thanked the court, and he thanked the police officers. They asked if he thought Lori knew they were there, and Larry said, "I got as close as I could." And Kay said, "Yeah, she knew we were there." You could hear Larry talking uh, as Lori is seated. You know she heard him. Um, he said that Lori's day will come and she deserves everything she gets. He said at one time she was a good person. So, yeah, I mean, that has to be so surreal and hard for them to see her in a defendant's chair, knowing what she's done. And they have shared holidays and good times and bad times with her. And here we are. So, yeah, just a day we've all waited for, but also a very sobering reminder of why we're here. And I'm going to pause this and cough, guys. I'm sorry. So that was kind of it, and I thought it went as well as it could. It's really hard to read her body language. I do think she was super nervous. She was breathing in and out. Go back and watch that real close. We did have Chad's hearing today. Tylee's aunt actually went to that one, Annie Cushing. It's a lot. We've done an episode on the figures. This was just more evidence to be introduced. Just, it's a financial burden, obviously, to travel to Boise for the trial for a lot of people. And the one thing that just I wanted to shout hallelujah is when Rachel said the defendant picked the venue when the bodies were found on his property and when he killed Tammy Daybell. Boom. Like, I mean, that should be it. I understand. I'm sorry, Lindsay Blake, not Rachel. Um, yeah, but I get it. I would love to see that trial stay there and then bust the jury in. But ultimately, it was just a lot of figures, detectives. Some of the detectives will have to be there for the whole 10-week trial. I think out of the 7 detectives, 4 would need to be there full time. It would overburden the ones that are left in Rexburg to carry that load. So those kind of things were brought up, and nothing's been ruled on. So yeah, we got some decisions coming. Court date number 1, big deal. Also, I just don't know yet about, is this going to naturally sever these trials? They say today, right now, the court says they're together. Not sure how all that's going to work. We need Scott Reich or Lori Hellis or somebody to give us some insight. So, anyways, that's it, guys. That is it. Crazy, crazy day. Still got Barry Morphew. Just a lot going on, but it's a good busy day because we got a little bit closer to justice. All right, guys. We're putting that link, or I'm sorry, the full video of the hearing on our YouTube page. We'll tweet it out, put it on Facebook. If you go on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you hit like on our videos, it helps push us to people that may be interested in our podcast. We really do appreciate that. And thanks, everybody. We have a lot of new listeners in the last few days, and we're glad to have you with us. So, yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one, and we will see you probably in a little bit.